Hi, I'm Dr. Brian Roadhouse, and I want to thank you for taking the time to click on our Facebook link. I've created this website, fibromyalgia recovery website, to offer you solutions. You've taken the first step to improving your health, okay? I know you're not feeling well. You're not sleeping, you have migrating pain that moves all over the place, but just relax. Watch this DVD, because I believe that after you're done watching this DVD, that you're going to understand how we can help these patients. We're helping patients that no one else can. Now, we do it through a unique approach of functional neurology and functional medicine. I'm a chiropractor, and I've been in practice since 1983, and I'm very proud of my success rate, and I'm driven by success. But I've taken care of fibromyalgia patients over the years, and let's say their symptoms are from a scale of 1 to 10, with 10 being bad, they're at a 9 or a 10. They come in. Some of them didn't respond. Some of them would respond, but maybe I could get them down to about a 6 or a 7. But we couldn't fix it. And then they would have flare-ups, but at least we could offer them some relief. So I started searching, because I was just as frustrated as probably you are. And I found it in the Carrick Institute. Dr. Carrick is a chiropractic neurologist. And he's been in the news lately because Sidney Crosby, one of the young superstars in hockey, had 2 concussions, the last one being the beginning of January. And so he's been going to the team doctors, and they've been, trying different drugs and doing different treatments on him. And here it was August, and he's still not ready to play, and they had no timetable for his return. So he started looking, and he found Dr. Carrick. Dr. Carrick worked on him, and within a month he had amazing recovery. They continued working on him, and now he's back in the league. He's back to his old self. He's wreaking havoc on all the opposing goaltenders. That's the type of treatment they're going to be doing on you, neurological based. Okay? I believe that if you go to other doctors, other healthcare providers, and they do the same treatments, treating it with the medicine when you've already tried the medicines. You might have tried massage therapy, you might have tried regular chiropractic, you might have gone to a naturopath, you might have tried physical therapy. There's all these different treatments. But if they didn't work, you need to look for something different. And I'm going to tell you how we're getting people better that no one else has been able to get better. I've got shocking news for you. Are you ready? Fibromyalgia is not a problem with the muscles. It's been wide held that that's what the problem is. A neurologist just wrote a paper recently, and he says that he feels that fibromyalgia is neurological in origin. We've already known that. We've been treating patients like this, I have anyway, for the last 5 years. As a matter of fact, after that study came out, Lyrica, which is one of the drugs of choice, changed their ads. They were saying to help the inflamed muscle tendons. Now the new one, the new ads that they're running after this paper came out, they're saying to help the hyperexcited cells. And you see those little purple and pink neurons on the screen. Well, how is it that a drug that was supposed to help inflame muscle tendons now works on the hyperexcited nerve cells? Lyrica is an anti-seizure medicine. It was for epilepsy. Do you have epilepsy? Now, sometimes it might help, because neurologically, one of the problems with fibromyalgia is the upper brainstem overfires, causing brain inflammation. But the reason it does it is because the cerebellum, this part of your brain back here, is not sending the signal there in time to slow down the upper brainstem. It's called a soft lesion. I'm a functional neurologist. The difference between what I do and what a neurologist does is a neurologist looks for hard lesions, tumor, stroke, stuff like that. We look for soft lesions, just not firing properly. So we work on these patients through a combination of neurology and functional medicine. We use the 2011 cutting-edge labs. They're the best labs in the country. As a matter of fact, we're using labs that last year we were using different labs, but these new labs came out. One of the labs that we use is Cyrex Labs, C-Y-R-E-X Labs, developed by Dr. Ari Vajani. He's the world's leading immunologist, immune system study. He's a scientist who studies the immune system. And he found on certain cases, conditions, and diseases that something was being missed. So he started his research in that avenue, and he developed these tests. These tests, most doctors don't know them. I'm sure you've never heard of them. But if you do these tests, we're not guessing as to what the problem is. These cases are a combination of neurology and functional medicine. There's 3 tests at Cyrex that we use. Array 2 is for leaky gut. Array 3 is for any of the genetic testing that you might have a predisposition to certain foods or other causative factors. So we're not guessing anymore. We're going to do the test, and we know exactly what's triggering your problem. The next test that we do is array number 4. It's cross-reacting foods. These are foods that can cross-react to affect your immune system and cause inflammation. They're different with everyone. I could have 100 patients. I never have any idea what the cross-reacting foods are. I had a patient that had fibromyalgia for 12 years. She did everything she could. She got on the internet, she studied, she quit drinking pop, caffeine, she didn't eat sugar anymore, she became a vegetarian. When we did the cross-reacting foods, the only thing that came up was tapioca. I'm thinking, who eats tapioca? She does, because she's a vegetarian. So we're going to know exactly what's going on. If that doesn't excite you, then maybe it's because you're still not feeling good and you've got brain fog, which is one of the symptoms of fibromyalgia, where you kind of walk around in a daze and you don't really think clearly. But, you know, I can guarantee you, if you have this problem and you still have symptoms, you haven't been tested properly. You know, a lot of the doctors concentrate on the chronic migrating pain and the sleep issues. And I understand why, because they are predominant in fibromyalgia. But there are so many other things. So what are they going to do? They're going to give you a medicine to help you sleep, but it's not good sleep. It's not the sleep that helps the brain and the spinal cord to regenerate. They might be able to help you with the pain. You might be going to pain specialists when it gets real bad. The pain with fibromyalgia is confusing to most doctors, because if you have a pinched nerve that's causing pain, it goes a certain area. And it usually stays there, but it kind of comes and goes. And when it gets real bad, it's there constantly. Well, when you go to a doctor and it's not in one of those normal pain patterns, it confuses them. Fibromyalgia is almost a disease that is diagnosed based on exclusion. Well, they've got all these problems, and we can't find anything else, so it must be fibromyalgia. You're not going to be able to help patients with that kind of an attitude. These neurological problems that you have in the functional medicine give us clues as to how to unlock the mystery of your fibromyalgia fiasco. And it is a fiasco. It changes who you are. You're not the same person that you used to be. Patients have balance problems. Well, that has to do with the cerebellum, with functional neurology. We do the examination and we figure it out. Most patients that come in after we're done with the examination said, I have never been so thoroughly examined. And we are finding things that most doctors don't. When we do the lab tests, we're doing lab tests that they don't know about. So they don't order them. That's how we're finding. If you don't do the test, you can't figure this problem out. Patients have problems with memory. That's usually neurological. They have problems with sleep. That can be from the adrenal glands. So we do the ASI test, which is a lab test that is done like a DNA test, and we swab the inside of your mouth, the buccal cavity, 4 times a day, and it gives us an idea. If it's high at midnight, your cortisol level, you're not going to be able to sleep. There's a neurological component to that with the upper brainstem, the mesencephalic reticular activating system. If it's overfiring, it wakes you up. So here it is, 2 o'clock in the morning, you're sound asleep, and all of a sudden you wake up and you're wide awake and can't go back to sleep. Something is wrong. We need to figure out what it is. You might have brain fog, leaky gut, irritable bowel syndrome, diverticulitis. A lot of patients have reflux, they have belching, bloating, they have problems with constipation, then they have diarrhea. When it happens, you got to be close to a bathroom because you can't control it. Irritable bowel syndrome is just a name. It's irritable. Well, what's causing it? The Cyrex lab tests let us know what the triggers are. We remove the triggers and we fix the problem. Patients that have brain fog and headaches, a lot of times that's related to the leaky gut. Leaky gut is there's something that's irritating your colon. We do immune panels, Th1, Th2. If Th1 is dominant, then that means that it could be a low-grade mold, virus, bacteria, yeast, fungus, parasites. Something is keeping it irritated. When it irritates, it swells up. So normally, the blood-gut barrier is about the size, to help you understand this, is like your screen on your windows. Very, very small. All the nutrients we get from the food we eat are micromolecules, and they go into the bloodstream. In leaky gut, the colon swells and it stretches it out. So now, instead of being like a screen, it's like a chicken wire. And macromolecules, big molecules that normally don't get into the blood, get into the blood. And when they get in the blood, they cause inflammation, goes up the brain. You're going to get headaches, you're going to get brain fog. It's not going to work the way it's supposed to. Your brain needs two things to survive: fuel and activation. Fuel comes in the form of oxygen and glucose from the food you eat. Activation is using your brain. So when we do these tests and we find out that that part of the brain isn't working the way it's supposed to, we put you on oxygen so that your brain is supercharged and more receptive to the treatment. And then we do activities that make that part of the brain work right. You know, once we do this, you're going to start seeing results. And it's going to give you a little bit of hope. You know, if you have insomnia, brain fog, balance and vertigo problems, a lot of patients have that. That has to do with the cerebellum firing over the temporal lobe. So there are a lot of different symptoms, and all these symptoms are important to a functional neurologist and someone who does functional medicine because they give us clues to where the problem is. Now, you might have had labs. Oh, I've had labs done, they're all normal. Well, do you know how they figure that out? Every year, the number of people that go in, which are mostly sick people, they take those and the lab values and they average them out. So you might go in, I've had thyroid patients that have all the thyroid symptoms, they go to their doctor and they're normal. And if you have fibromyalgia long enough, you're probably going to end up getting a thyroid problem. But what happens then is the lab ranges are like this. And let's just say, for the sake of explanation, 0.5 to 5.0. So if you're right on the edge, you're still normal. Well, common sense would tell you that if it's on the edge of abnormal, it's not going to work as good. So we use functional ranges, and we want them in the middle. So, you know, you might have had lab tests, but they don't look at them from a functional range. When patients come in, we got to make sure they don't have anemia. We got to make sure the blood sugar level is working right. Because a lot of patients that come in that have fibromyalgia, they have what's called pre-diabetes. And if you don't get that taken care of, you're just going to go on to diabetes. Well, we have a 3, 5, 7, or 9-day fast that we can undo the insulin resistance. And insulin resistance is just where the cells of the body become resistant to insulin, usually from high carbohydrate diets. So there's a lot of things that we're going to be doing for you that probably no other doctor has ever done for you. We've got a different, approach. If you want to look at some patients that we've taken care of, you can go to my YouTube channel, and we've got video testimony.